they also the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Love it.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, absolutely.
And did we get any shot from? I don't think we had any mentions from Microsoft about the embassy submission, right?
Not yet. So I know already the dates and everything, but I cannot talk about it yet. However, is that they will make an announcement very, very soon, like in the next few days.
It's still a hybrid or it's...
Yeah, I think so. I don't know because I'm not involved in the prep. I'm pretty sure it's going to be hybrid again. So I know they are planning a in-person component for sure.
Faut bien que je fasse. Tu voudras juste vérifier que le son passe bien quand je passe quoi. J'ai recréé un flux. Ça a fait pareil en fait. Le flux, il s'est arrêté le flux.
Ouais, c'est bizarre.
C'est parce que.
Les personnes se connectées.
Ouais, je pense qu'on s'est tous déconnectés quand il n'y a plus personne.
It's huge.
That's a huge name.
Maybe you can join this way. It will be better. All in the same room.
Patrick.
Yeah, maybe.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you. You can send it to me. I'm okay.
Come on, don't be shy. I don't mind. For those who haven't already taken, there are some goodies from Microsoft. That's not so usual. So three remaining. Sure, interesting.
Patrick, I want to keep questioning them, so keep in mind.
Stickers. Microsoft. Have a look and keep it if you're interested.
Yeah, I'll keep this.
Come on, this way. This side, it will be much better.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sweet. I will do that. Yeah, yeah. No worries. There we go. Okay, cool. So I will add you to both, and then you will. I'm sending some onboarding email first, and after that I'll do. I'm not sure when yet. Maybe next week or after that. I need to check. But before Ignite, we'll do just an online session, and I will record. So if you're gonna attend, don't worry about it. I will do two. Usually I do two. One in the morning, one in the evening. I like to see your questions about whatever. But it's fairly straightforward. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Oh, you did? Okay. Oh, I talked to friends already. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
I thought so, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so many social.
Thanks, you.
Of course.
Okay, let's go. Thank you very much for coming to this session. It's all about new AI and new, above all, new capabilities around Microsoft 365 section. How many of you are already being used Microsoft 365? Not so many. Yeah, maybe half of you. Okay, so it will bring you also an overview of all the capabilities around Microsoft 365. Ouais.
Il marche, mais il est faible.
Il est faible.
Je crois débrancher quelque part ailleurs.
C'est compliqué. So let's do some mic tuning. Yeah. It's not so easy to make a hybrid session, so let's try. Okay, like that, maybe it will be better. So let's go back to the slides. So first, I wanted to thank all our, sorry, too quickly. I want to thank all our sponsors. Without them, it will not be possible to organize such type of event. So thank you for them. Rancor is as a table in front of the room. So if you want to ask them some questions and some demo, feel free to do so. And thank you for Microsoft, obviously, for this big place, big room. A few words about me. I'm based in Paris, France, and I've mostly been enterprise solution architect, which means I build enterprise solution to help my customers to solve their business problems using Microsoft 365 tools and toolsets. I love to be speaker and organizer to such type of events like aMS Manila. We have been in Singapore 3 days ago and in Kuala Lumpur 5 days ago. So it was a very interesting set of events in South Asia. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. I have been awarded by Microsoft 30-time MVP, and I have also been for 4 years Microsoft Regional Director. And probably the most important thing you have to know about me is that I love bread, and especially baguette, which is very French, I suppose, but that's a fact. About this session, we will focus on 3 topics. First one is what is exactly Microsoft 365 right now, and what we get when we buy a license of Microsoft 365. We'll speak about generative AI at Microsoft, and we will focus on Copilot for Microsoft 365, what it can bring in this space to you as a user or as a commercial company when you buy Microsoft 365 for all your employees. So, what's in Microsoft 365 nowadays? I would say first, it's a set of icons that you can see when you open your browser and you connect to your environment. But for some user, it can seem like, wow, that's so many tools or so many applications to understand, to know what each one is needed for. So some of them are clear, like Word, Excel. Probably nowadays most of people already know what they can do with Word or Excel or even Outlook. But for many others, that's really not clear. So that's the first challenge when you want to push Microsoft 365 usage in any company. You have maybe to explain a little bit why we have so many tools in this tool set. So I love to present this on this schema. First, people and users have to understand that there are 3 types of tools. Basically, the tools designed to work for an individual, or I can use as an individual to help in my work. Second, the tool designed to help the team as a whole, and some of the tools are designed to connect with the whole company. And vertically, I will put some usage, some typical workload we can address with Microsoft 365. The first one is personal productivity. So you have some set of tools that can help you to organize your activity on a day-to-day basis. So for example, you can organize your calendar, organize your to-do list, you can organize your contacts, and so you have this type of tools. You can also manage content, document, files, knowledge as a wider sense in Microsoft 365. And in this space, it's relatively clear that SharePoint is the tool that will handle everything, because OneDrive, this is the logo of OneDrive, is only a sub-part of SharePoint. So OneDrive is a sort of page of SharePoint, let's say it like that. But so everything at some point will go to a SharePoint space, which is very interesting, because if you use the search engine in SharePoint, you will be able to query all the documents, all the files you have in Microsoft 365. And this is also a SharePoint list, which have been renamed Microsoft lists, which can be useful to help each person to manage some list, or even a team to work on list, on content stored in a simple list. In the communication space, we have two main tools. Email, so Outlook, which is, if we think about it, a very good communication tool. We love all to receive and send email. But it can be challenging if it's not only used for communication, but also for collaboration, for example. So definitely you should keep email for what it is good. That is to say, for send information, but not probably share documents or things like that. There are better tools to do that. Teams is a very good tool for communication as well, because in Teams, as you know, you can create some video meeting, chat, discussion, or audio, video discussion. So that's another great way to communicate with some individual in your company, or even outside your company, and for a few number of people, or for many people. In this space, at the company level, you can think that SharePoint is a very good tool to build what we call intranet, which is a dedicated site for propagating information at the enterprise level. So you can do it on a website, but also on a video using Stream, or on more, I would say, social network oriented way using Yammer, which is called now Viva Engage. And this is Sway, which is another little tool to send information on one page, but not so useful as SharePoint site. Collaboration, it's very important to distinguish between communication and collaboration. As I said, some good tools in communication like email are not very good at all on collaboration. So in the collaboration space, the sweet spot is Teams, because Teams with the capability to create some space dedicated to online collaboration, so that's called Teams in Teams. You can put a group of people working on a set of same objective, same goals. For example, to build a proposal for a customer, things like that. Teams is very good at that. And you will be able to use the old Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Office style application to bring a new document, for example, that you can share at the team level. And last but not least, the business process will be more and more digitalized, and enterprise want to do it at a bigger level and more nowadays. So in this space, that's the realm of Power Platform. So with Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps, you can create really cool, I would say, business process online with not so much effort. So this is the big sweet spot, I would say, of the whole capabilities. And I can summarize that from an end user perspective. First, we can see SharePoint as a sort of backbone where every document, every file will be stored. Even if you put, for example, your document in Teams, it will go in SharePoint in fact. So SharePoint is really the backbone of Microsoft 365 in terms of storage, especially. On top of that, you can get many different tools. So all the tools we have seen, here are only a few, for example. And from the end user perspective, it's very interesting to say that Teams will be the front end, so the most visible part of Microsoft 365. And it's very interesting because everything can be integrated into Teams. For example, using the tab option into Teams, you can put a Power BI report into Teams, you can put a planner into Teams, you can put a Microsoft 365 list into Teams, etc. So you can put almost everything into Teams, and it's very important because, and very useful, because like that you can say to your end user, okay, you don't have to learn 30 different tools, you just have to be aware of Teams and how Teams works. And going into Teams, you will be able to consume, to produce as well content for other tools. And Viva has been added at some point, which we will speak about it a few minutes later. Viva has been added as an add-on as well into Teams to extend the capabilities of Microsoft 365. Is it clear? Feel free to ask some questions. So this was the situation, I would say, 1 or 2 years ago. Before, Microsoft introduced a lot of new options, which is quite good because we will have more and more capabilities with Microsoft 365. But for certain customers, if not all customers, it can be quite challenging. Why? Because Microsoft introduced mostly a new paid option nowadays. So I can list the 5 latest, biggest option added by Microsoft in the environment. First one is Viva, as I said, and Viva is can be seen as a way to enhance and manage personal productivity and personal well-being at the company level. So it's clearly in this space. Syntax has been added as some extension around SharePoint using AI to extend standard SharePoint capabilities. I will detail in the next slide. Teams Premium has been added as an extension to the standard Teams to add some, again, AI-enhanced capabilities around meetings in Teams. Copilot has been announced as a way to enhance with AI and with a chat conversation some of the most important tools like Teams, like Outlook, like Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And that's also a new option. And Power Platform Premium is also another option you have to pay for if you want to use a big online let's say database, which is called database, with many options needed for big solution in this area. So these are great because Microsoft is producing more and more innovation and more capabilities. But as I said, if you are a company, a standard company, you will not be able to buy all these features for all your users. So you have to choose which type of user, for example, are interested by Teams Premium, or which capabilities in Syntax are useful for each of my customers. So you will have to decide and to make some choice. And as always, it's not so easy. So let's focus a little bit on these new capabilities. Syntax. So Syntax, as I said, is AI-powered content. So you have many, you imagine you can have many contents already in SharePoint, but with this content, you usually can't leverage so much the content. With Syntax, you can, for example, put a whole set of invoice and automatically detect the customers, the date of the invoice, the amount of the invoice, and things like that. So if you are a very big company, it can help you to save a lot of time and so a lot of money. So this is what you get when you buy Syntex. Syntex is providing processing of structured and unstructured document, machine translation. You can create content assembly, which means you can create new document from different part of document. You can tag image, you can recover from taxonomy, and you can also have some optical character recognition, which means you give him image and he will translate to text. So all of these capabilities, at some point last year, you had to buy a license per user per month, which is quite usual in the Microsoft 365 space. But at some point in July, they said, okay, it will not be a per user license, it's no a pay-as-you-go license. So it's more like in Azure. You pay only for what you use. So if you, for example, process 10 documents, you will pay much less than if you process 10,000 of documents, of course. There is another option around Syntex, which is called SharePoint Advanced Management, which is a new type of option of license, which is very useful if you want to put some privacy level at the document libraries level in SharePoint. So, for example, you create a site for CEO, the CEO of the company to share some very confidential documents, and every document in this space will be tagged as highly confidential, and so you will be able, as a security officer, to apply some restriction. For example, this type of document can't go out the company and things like that. So that's very useful for in terms of privacy and protection. But you need a special license for it, so it's something like $3 per user per month. Last option announced by Microsoft around Syntex is Microsoft 365 backup and archive option, which is a very important thing if we think about it. Many customers asked for it since the beginning of Microsoft 365 and Office 365. So Microsoft did some announcement in this area, but not yet, we don't have yet the price or the details of the content of this option to come, still to come. So maybe probably next Ignite they will give more detail about that. Teams Premium, same idea, very similar. You have many capabilities around Teams meetings, and you add more option and more capabilities with AI into these meetings with this option. So we can here, for example, see an interesting screenshot where you can see exactly at what time each speaker is talking about these topics. So you have a view by speakers, by topics, by chapters, directly visual, and so if you only need to understand what your colleague has said, you just have to go to the direct place. You don't have to hear the whole meeting. There is also an automatic note taken by AI, so an automatic summary generated by AI. Here you have the note, and some task has been identified as well. There is also capabilities around translation. So you can, with this option, activate live translation of subtitle. And you can personalize many things around meetings with this option. You can create templates, meeting templates and things like that. You can activate some security option as well. So that's many options, but definitely the most interesting, I would say, is to create some automatic summary, automatic notes for any meetings. And this is the screenshot of the live translation. This is coming at a price of something like $7 per user. and they say that it will be increased at the end of this calendar year. So, Viva. Viva is another big option. Viva can provide you with something like 10 different tools. So I will not detail everything because we can make a whole session about Viva. But what you can understand about Viva is that it's trying to help customer and user, in fact, in their day-to-day job, and it will help in several places. So first one is about enhancing communication at the enterprise level, especially sharing information into teams directly. When you have, for example, an intranet in SharePoint, you can directly embed it into Teams. Here we have option about how people feel in the company, so you can, as a manager, as a big director, create some quiz and some requests about how people really feel in the company. Here you have Viva Learning, which provide obviously learning directly into Teams. Topics will help people to create a sort of Wikipedia in the enterprise to give more information at the enterprise level about, for example, all the projects we have in a big company. It can be very useful. And Viva Goals is a tool to explain at each employee in the enterprise, in the company, why they are working on which goals and why their direct job is important for the whole company. So this is an overview of what is Viva. Viva is here. So Viva can be presented as an employee experience platform, and it can be compared to what was. So this is a need of our days after pandemic, after the hybrid work stuff and things like that. And a few years ago, the most important thing in any company was to manage correctly customers. And maybe before, again, it was a question about managing products. So this is a good thing. In fact, that nowadays, the most important thing is to manage the direct user, direct employee of any company. So Microsoft is putting a big bet on this, and we will see where this will go. So let's focus on the newest and more hype addition, which is Microsoft 365 Copilot. And to have a bigger overview of this, we should understand what is generative AI by Microsoft. So Microsoft made many interview and statistics. You can go to this site, which is published by Microsoft site, something like every 3 months or 5 months. They publish studies about how people feel in their job at the worldwide level. So they do some stats, some quiz and things like that. And here are some very interesting information. Okay, half of the people can have fear of AI because AI will replace their job. That's a fact. But much more than that. So 2/3 of people will think, okay, I will use AI if it can help me in my job. So that's very interesting to say, despite people have fear of that, they will try to use it as much as they can. Another very interesting statistics coming from these studies is that more than 2/3 of the people say they don't have enough interrupted time on spend for concentration, uninterrupted time in concentration. So it can be summarized on this schema. And if we make a stat of the percentage of share of time spent in Microsoft 365, 57% is spent in email, in Teams meeting, in Teams chat, for example, in Microsoft 365, which is a lot. It's mostly in communication tools. And not so much, not so many, so 43% is spent in creation tool like Excel, OneNote, PowerPoint, and Word. So people would like probably to increase this time and to decrease this part. Another interesting statistic is what are the barriers to productivity nowadays. The barriers are coming mostly from meetings, so this is point 1 and point 3, and the goals of if people don't feel they have good goals in their jobs, that can be a real challenge. Feeling uninspired is very similar to this one. And so there are two trends here. The first one is meetings. The second one is to have a clear vision for what I work for. And the last one is finding information, which is always a problem everywhere. So we have to think about that, and Microsoft is trying to improve this problem, or to solve this problem at some point with introducing a Copilot, for example. This slide directly interesting because it's based on a return of experience of Copilot for GitHub. So Copilot for GitHub was introduced some long time ago now, so something like 2 years ago, I think. And most of the people say, okay, I am really more productive with this type of Copilot, and I can focus more on the most interesting part of my job, and I will spend less time searching information or example. So this shows that the first version of Copilot, so this is a Copilot for developer. How many of you are developer in the room? No. Okay, no developer. So this shows that developer can find very good, can feel really very good after using such type of Copilot. We will see in the near future if a Copilot for, I would say, information worker will give the same result. But that's interesting to have this type of information of return of experience. How many of you have already used ChatGPT? Okay, probably almost everybody. So ChatGPT can be really a very wonderful tool, but there are some limits we all should be aware of, especially if you want to use ChatGPT-like tools on a day-to-day basis, and not to make some tests or some hype around it. There are some errors possible, especially because the source has dated. So if you ask any question after 2021, it should not come correctly in ChatGPT. The data comes from the internet, so any information that is not already on the internet will not show up in ChatGPT. And you can think, if you are very good on a topic, very specific topic, you can think that you can get more insight and more, you can be more precise than ChatGPT can be. Especially because a lot of content is not, if you are very deep on any subject, all the content deep will not be on the internet probably. Or not exactly detailed on the internet, I would say. The results are never perfectly original because it's already a way to retransform some content already present in the internet. And it can sometimes provide some meaningless information. But probably the most biggest issue around ChatGPT is that it does not comply with any data protection rules and data protection law. So your data, there is no protection for the data you put into your prompt. So for example, if you ask ChatGPT to summarize any proposal for a customer, you might not be sure that this proposal will not go in a different way to a concurrent, for example. And there is no legal certainty about what is possible with your data. Probably they can use your data without any problem. So be careful with your data, with the data you put in ChatGPT. And Microsoft obviously is trying to provide some solution in this area. The first one is Bing Chat. So Bing Chat is ChatGPT-like model with up-to-date data. So the most important thing first is to have up-to-date data. So if you try Bing Chat, you will be able to get information newer than what you get in ChatGPT. And it provides better protection for your data. So a very interesting version of Bing Chat is Bing Chat Enterprise. Bing Chat Enterprise is included in any enterprise licenses. So if you have at your job or at your as a student access to a Microsoft 365 E3, E5 Business Standard and Business Premium, you just have to connect to your chat with this type of your connection with your ID, and then you will get access to what they call commercial data protection, which means that they engage not to reuse your data to train the model, for example. This includes the GPT-4 model, and let's have a look on it. A very short demo. So here I have a Bing home page. Sorry, Bing page. Can you maybe I should click on the chat part. So here is the chat version. Here I am I have to show you that I am connected with my company account. So he says, okay, you are protected, and I have the choice of the type of conversation style I want. And I want to ask him, can you give me more information on latest Microsoft? Yes, some question? I want to ask him some details about the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, which is a new topic, and usually it can give us the very good answer about that. And definitely, if you try this on ChatGPT, it will not work because ChatGPT is not aware of the license, Microsoft license, because they have appeared a few months ago. So another interesting thing here is that, as Laurent already pointed out, you have on every chat the source quoted, so that's very important because you can know that the price of a Microsoft 365 Copilot is $30 per user per month, and you can go directly to the site where this information is coming from. So can you give me the price in Philippines? So here by default he is giving us the price in US dollar because it's probably what is the easiest part to find, the easiest site to find. And here we have a very interesting thing. In fact, I suppose there is no Philippine site or Microsoft site putting the price in Philippine money, but he is trying to convert the price from US dollar to Filipino money, and is finding the current exchange rate, and so it's generating the answer, which is a good answer, of course. But this shows us that there is no not already Microsoft site saying the price in Filipino pesos. So let's go back to slides. So this is the point here is that that's a new license, and it costs a lot for any company. to invest 30 US dollar per user per month. So definitely you have to find all the users who will benefit from this new option. And probably not all your users will benefit from it. It depends obviously of your industry, type of industry you are working on. Let's go a little bit quicker because, so this one, sorry. This one is a list of all announcements made by Microsoft, and probably not all, but many announcements made on Microsoft Copilot something. So that's to show that Microsoft is doing a big bet on Microsoft, on AI and Copilot as well. So what we can say more about Copilot for Microsoft 365. First, I want to show you a quick video showing how it works. And why
Microsoft 365 Copilot is powered by what we call the Copilot system, a sophisticated processing and orchestration engine.
I will comment it, so don't want.
The Microsoft 365.
The interesting thing about Microsoft 365 Copilot, so it's in a few words, it's a way to embed a ChatGPT-like tool directly into Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So first, you will be able to do the prompt in any of the tools you probably already know. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. In these tools, you will have option to put a prompt and then to send it to the other part of the system. The very important thing is that you will be able to query all the information you have in your Microsoft 365 environment directly, and this will be made possible by the graph. So the graph is a way for, is an API that allows you to make some requests about your documents, your emails, and every information you manage into Microsoft 365. And for example, you can, in a prompt, say, okay, I want more information or summary of my last meeting, and the graph will understand what is your last meeting. So the prompt or the large language model will not understand, but the graph will understand that and will push information needed to the LLM. Let's go.
5 apps. That's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams.
So this is where the interface will be.
That's all your content.
We'll start from there.
Your emails, files, meetings, chats, and calendar. And a large language model, or LLM, a creative engine capable of parsing and producing human-readable text, all accessible through natural language. It starts with a prompt from you in an app.
So the prompt is first
Processes the prompt.
pre-processed by Microsoft Graph. So he's trying to find all information regarding, for example, your customers, your meetings, your last email, and things like that. And when, okay, files, meeting, chat, contacts. And the modified prompt is sent to the LLM. So LLM is basically what's the ChatGPT.
Copilot takes the response from the LLM and
And
post-processes.
again, when the response comes back, there is a post-processing. For example, if it's speaking about your last meeting or last customer, the graph will be able to translate that to the real name to give the feedback to the app.
Copilot iteratively processes and orchestrates these sophisticated
Okay.
services.
So after that, so here is a slide with more details, but exactly the same as we have seen. So where will I be able to use Copilot? There is in fact two ways of integration. The first one is directly into Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, Outlook, and Teams. So it will look like that. You will have a little icon in the bar, and then you will be able to open such a Copilot window. And from here, you will be able to put your prompt. Here, for example, draft a proposal from yesterday meeting notes. So here we see that the AI is not working from nothing. It's working from an existing file, which is meeting notes taken in OneNote. So that's very important to understand that it can process some existing information, but it's hard to create from nothing. So you still have to provide some seed, I would say, to the AI. And the other option is directly in what they call the business chat in Teams, in Outlook, or in Viva Engage. And here we have a view on Teams. Copilot can be seen exactly as a co-worker, as a colleague, where you can put, so it's open a chat, and it can be used to query about some information. So did anything happen yesterday with Fabricam, for example, here? So you can ask some question directly as you will do with a colleague. So here we see that the AI is trying to find all information about these customers published on yesterday. These are great usage as well. So you will be able to generate text directly in Word, to create some PowerPoint presentation, to analyze data in Excel, generate visual in PowerPoint. You will be able to update on a project in Teams, and the most important, most I would say lovely option I have seen already is you can summarize meetings and manage meetings at a very useful level. You can also use the AI to organize your mailbox, which can be quite interesting because we all spend so much time in our mailbox. So if you're interested, there are many very short video, 1 or 2 minutes on YouTube, so you will get the list. But I can show you, we have still a few minutes, so I can show you one of them. For example, in PowerPoint. Yeah. No, sorry, it's not the one. No. Oh, sorry. This one is the correct one. So this is how it works. It will work in PowerPoint. So you have the Copilot icon here. You open a tab here, and then you can create a dialogue, create a presentation based on. Once again, it's not creating a presentation from nothing. It's creating a presentation from a Word document. So you already have to have some information, and then boom, you have a very beautiful presentation. So that's really cool. You can add a specific slide on a specific topic.
So this slide is too wordy. Let's ask Copilot to make it more visual.
You can ask him to change the way of the slide. And now we have added more animation on the slide.
Copilot even generates speaker notes for all your slides. It's not only a time saver, it's helping you be a better presenter.
So that's typical usage you can find on Copilot for Microsoft 365 PowerPoint, for example. And so, as I said, we have many video available, and I will just go to show you this one. So this is called meeting recap. Oh.
What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting.
Because maybe.
Copilot will summarize what you.
Okay, that's better like that.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts.
So you have meeting, you have a new option. Right now you have an option only to go to a meeting or to not go. But here we will be able to follow a meeting, even if you are not in the meeting, you will be able to follow and have some information about the meeting. The recap will be available soon after the meeting. You will get a summary of the note, of the task.
You see that one of your customers was discussed, and you want to
So
learn
obviously
more.
it's similar to
You
what
can
we
ask
have seen
Copilot
already in
clarifying
Teams
questions,
Teams
and it
Premium.
provides a detailed
But
response. It can tell
Copilot
you why
365 license is
decisions
much more than only meetings.
and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered. And it provides citations from the transcript so you can see where Copilot drew these.
And really this option is really cool and really very useful. That's it. We are almost finished the time. So you should be aware that there is also a Copilot in SharePoint version. So SharePoint is a way to create website internal as a company. So you can directly create a site with a single prompt, like create me an onboarding site, blah, 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 blah. You can create page, you can rewrite text, so that's very useful as well. And they also have proposed and announced Copilot in Stream. So Stream is a video tool inside Microsoft 365, and you will be able to summarize, for example, a whole video in a few words. The last thing I want to share with you is, okay, we will be able to make a prompt to give the system some cool action to do. So what makes a good prompt? And Microsoft is already proposing 4 steps. First, you have to start with what you have in mind. First, I want, here in blue, I want 3 or 5 bullet points. So you have to be very specific of the type of output you want from Copilot. Then you have to give more details or any context. For example, here I want to prepare a meeting with a customer, blah, blah, blah. And I can even be more focused, and I can give him some, let's say, parameters, sort of parameters. For example, here I want that it generates everything based on email and Teams chat since June. So no need to go, let's say, 2 years before. Just the latest version of the communication I have with this customer. And the last part is tailor the delivery. So you have to specify the type of, for example, here, a language I want to use. So that's basically all I had to say. Thank you very much. And the last slide on conclusion is, okay, we will have to learn how to use this AI. And these are the new skills which will be needed for this type of learning. First, we will have to decide, is it a good job to make with my Copilot AI, or is it not? I will make it probably for some type of job. I will probably make it quickly without AI. During AI, you need to have some intellectual curiosity, so asking the right question and leading AI with the right prompt. And after, you will have to adapt with the integration of AI in the work process. And definitely, you have to evaluate the content produced by AI, because we can't rely on AI being all good and always good. Thank you very much, and I am still available for any question. Thank you.
Yeah, doing some good work actually. Very reliable here. I'm decided for tomorrow to try that.
Now I'm searching. Is that okay? So that I have to go to the bus and
yeah, I mean the bus is not bad. The only thing that is tricky is finding the bus station in Manila because every bus will stop in different place.
yes, I see that in YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So I would plan to go early enough, and then after that you go and check around, make sure that it's the correct bus,
Ask the
right?
person, ask the driver.
Correct. And usually what they have is that every bus station, not always, but sometimes at bus stations they have someone who will shout like when the bus arrives, they will say, oh, this is bus to Tagaytay, bus to whatever. Yeah. And usually it's written on the. But for me,
Yeah,
what
done.
I do is that
What about you? When is your session?
Let's talk about the German's mine now.
No?
Yeah.
But yeah, the bus, I think they
Okay,
will-
that is, so, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and, okay, yeah, I try to do more. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Let you know. Yeah, you have my contact.
I want to, I have only
not sure.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, you can message me on LinkedIn or if you want my number, I'm happy to give you my number.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, like WhatsApp is probably a good thing. I'm not always checking the pages.
Okay, then you can write your website and then
Yeah, I have CK.
New contact. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, send me a message. At least we are connected and
also, here it says I have to invite someone. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay.
yeah,
It's working.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's going on. Anyway, cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching the weather situation and it will be tomorrow.
Things are changing, you know, like you see now, like 2 minutes ago it was raining like crazy, now it's already past, you know.
But
It's, yeah, November is, and you will see in Tagaytay it's also looking cooler, so it's nice, you know.
I will go there in shorts.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely stay short for sure, but yeah, it's a little bit nicer, especially at night, you know, it's a little bit nicer. If you go, so Tagaytay actually interestingly because it's a little bit higher and colder, they have a specialty of what they call gularo, which is essentially this, you know, the osobuco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this piece of meat,
Wow.
and then they make a soup with it, so it's because it keeps them hot, it keeps them warm, right? So that's why, so it's always funny, so they advertise that a lot, and that's why there are a lot of very nice restaurants. So my recommendation is check into those, and then you check the reviews,
Yeah, I do it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we have a ticket to extend,
Should be fine.
Really like
Let's go
like
with
on the
the
side because at night it's quite spectacular also. So you see, especially at the sunset, right? You have the sunset on the side, and then suddenly it's
Can I
really dark,
open
really
the
dark, yeah, around 6 p.m. whenever it's dark, and then you see the no light, and then on the other side of the volcano is the light, right? Because it's a big lake.
Yeah.
So this is really quite fantastic. Good food, and are you staying there for a night, or you're just going in and out?
Maybe for 1 month.
One night, yeah. It's a good
Oh, sorry.
Last time we stayed in.
I will hope.
in
So,
a
it's
hotel.
20,
I mean, it was not like the best hotel ever, but
There is an Italian
Come.
hotel. Villa, I don't know. Villa,
NF8 YQ
YQ,
PX
PX,
W
W,
6D.
6D.
D.
Let me see if I go to Villa, yes.
is that the one? I don't think Villa is.
Yeah, it's a hotel. But it's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, we. Honestly, we trust
Yes.
opportunity and so far it's been really
Oh,
good.
it's
In
the longest name.
That's okay.
Yeah, hotels are pretty nice. I mean, it's for people from Manila, this is a place where they go on weekends. So Tagaytay is so on weekends it gets busy.
Yeah,
But
I don't go to weekends.
no, exactly. So that's good, right? So on weekends, especially the traffic gets busy getting in. But on weekdays it's perfect because there are less people. And by the way, it also has a really good breakfast.
You sent me the breakfast.
Ah, the
Yeah, you sent me, yeah, yeah.
But well, yeah, okay. So if you have just one more meal, there is another place I go to work. They're super nice. It's a terrace with view on the volcano, and they don't mind me if I sit down and work for like a whole morning or even sometimes I do.
Working more in this Swiss.
No, more in Switzerland. So I'm in Switzerland. I mean, I travel quite a bit, but less than I used to.
In fact, we have the sun coming back.
And now I'm in Switzerland most of the time. Sometimes we travel, and then we come to students or anywhere we want. Mostly, so I can work in 3 months maximum.
Yes.
Because of the tax implication. I actually know it's I think even more. But anyway, 2 months is enough. So now what I'm doing is I stay here until December, but I am working until mid-November, and then I'll start on vacation.
Yeah, I have 70 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the randomness of life that eventually I made online.
It's still getting echo.
For me, it's the first time if you I was in the city, so I want to watch
That would be good.
Yeah, there's coolness. But other people listen very crazy. I watched the city.
Yes.
And they convinced me yesterday, so I want to watch them in
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting place. Yeah. When I met Bench, our family was actually staying in
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty lucky, especially
we still have echo.
when the sun was
Still echo? Yeah.
we are big lucky that
It's crazy.
So
So-
and the mom remarried,
Another way.
and the
And
mom
the
passed
sound
like
from-
inherit some house in the province, and they decided to meet there. It was a big deal because probably from the province, maybe it was to work, right? And that was the GP driver, so it was a big deal. And so we got
Usually it works very well.
so the GP went to there, her brother was a GP driver, by the way. And so he was able to find a line, like a GP line there. And the house was
Martin inspired.
so before and obviously we help. So, but on the both parties been able to do that. So the slum was around the time when the first time I visited the Philippines, she said, okay, let's go visit my family, and she brings me to the slums. And people were super nice and it was an interesting experience. Like the house was yeah, this one is the thing.
Yes, you can go.
Because we're waiting for more people to hop in.
You can wait maybe,
Maybe 5 minutes.
yeah, maybe a few minutes.
In Manila, we sent information right now. Yeah, you see the car. You are staying here, metropolitan.
It's raining badly.
Yeah?
It's raining badly.
Oh.
Yeah, it's enforced.
My opinion is the source more, yeah, they will because
Yeah.
when this place is older, you don't have problem to put your yes.
Can you speak a little bit? Say, just a second. Try it.
Have lot many apps.
Yeah, too much.
I kept being sad about this, you know, and especially because I'm very much.
Lot many apps.
Okay, so the sound is okay for me.
Another couple of minutes.
Yes, you start when you want, in fact.
I'm so sorry, but at the same time, right after that, we see this guy, and he was so proud that he's living with society, and super friendly, and so the people are amazing. The market is, the market, the variety, and this is amazing.
They are so proud about it.
They are, yeah.
So, and you're so proud. When I'm looking outside, there are people that are cleaning their house,
Yes.
but putting the garbage for
Yeah.
the sides.
Yeah.
And that is every time put it on the side.
Yeah, this is a little bit tricky thing.
Yeah, but they are very proud people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult situation,
Yes.
and you know, it's again, right? I try not to judge, I try to do my best. Sometimes I just get angry because, but I get angry in Switzerland as well because you have people going to hike in the mountain and they throw their garbage, you know, in the forest as well, right?
If we as foreigners, we can't go to a place
No.
where they judge.
Correct,
Because
correct.
they don't trust them.
No.
If you are.
No, this is true. And again, right? It's not so much about judging, it's more about feeling sad.
I think the only time where you can judge is if you're living here, you're paying taxes, and you go to the polls.
Yeah.
And then you have to write to judge.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But if you're tourist,
Yeah.
taking it, this is.
No, that's
this is
true.
not true.
It's interesting for sure. I'm just passionate about nature and animals. I guess. I love the turtles, and so many turtles die from the garbage bag. You know, basically it's a jellyfish, right? Yeah. And so.
Okay.
Yes, it's better. You can
See?
start, I think. Yeah.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you.
some nice pictures of turtles last year.
Are we good to
but
start?
I didn't have a really good camera.
Yeah, let's start again.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the aMS Manila. This is the first time I'm being here at Manila, and I'm still here to explore. It's keep on raining, you know, and need to get time to explore Manila. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and over a working day as well. And I'm here, Abdul Rashid Firozkan. A quite long name, but then I usually go with Firoz, right? All my MVP community mates know me as Firoz. And I'm gonna present you a quick talk with a short demo as well to make sense about the Microsoft purview, right? They will make sense about the data lineage and the best practices that we're gonna have that we need to perform over the Microsoft purview. Well, so before getting started, I would like to thank all the sponsors that we have here. Renko, we have Microsoft, right, and thanks for the aMS community as well, right, the complete AOS community, Patrick and other rock stars who have been organizing this, who have been making all the arrangements for us to come over, you know, and the other speakers as well who came across the globe, right. I see Laurent, I see Christian, who have been traveling more than 12 hours to reach over here. It should be more than 12 hours if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So my journey was like my journey is like 8 hours, so I'm pretty much sure that they should be more than 12 hours the clock. So thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for the sponsors as well on making this event to be a huge success. I'm here, okay, the founder and CEO of Code Sizzler. We are based out of India and Middle East. We do cloud consulting. We are just stepped into our product development as well. We have a data analytics product, and we are Microsoft partners as well on the consulting that we do, the migrations that we perform, SAP environments, IoT, and recently we have been partnered with Microsoft on being an AI as well. So this is like the previous image that we have over the data center and other competencies. Apart from that, I'm a Microsoft MVP. I have been recognized as a Microsoft MVP, and it's like 7 years with the program of Microsoft MVP, and I've been like 9 years traveling with the program of Microsoft Certified Trainer as well. So that's like a quick introduction about me, and I'm a cloud advocate, and being at Microsoft, I would say I'm Azure cloud advocate. But if you want me to keep posted about the questions over AWS or GCP, feel free to let me know. All right. Let's go here with the information protection in Microsoft Purview. It's like a noon session. I was keep on saying, Christian, that I would be more than happy if I got a session which is set to be on a morning, right, to make it more interactive. But then I will still make sure that we're going to have a lot many conversations for the next 35 or 40 minutes that we have as such, right? Well, by any chance have you people worked with Microsoft Purview? No? Have you ever come across with Microsoft 365 products? Of course, right? All right. See, the Purview is said to be, the more it's going to help you with the factors of security, the more it's going to help you with the factors of traceability that you do, okay, over the complete data estate. You're going to get a glimpse, or you're going to get a complete understanding about how your data is going to be traveling across the different services that you have. What's the origin that you have, where your data goes, right? You get a traceability. You also get a accountability with the classification, right? Let's say if you have a data which has some missing values, or if you have a data which is going to come up with an inappropriate spell or the space that you have over the data, it's going to do a data cleansing. It's going to make the data to be trained on a particular way, and thereon it goes to the data estate to work more with the pipelines, right? So whenever you cross the environments of data factory, right, or Synapse that we speak about, or Event Hub, HT Insights, right? So any like data processing computes that you speak about, Microsoft Purview plays a major role there, right? It's going to be over the complete Microsoft 365 environment. It's going to be over the complete data environment that we have. And if your question is still to be focused about, does it support only for Microsoft Azure? No, it's going to support you over AWS. It supports you even with the data that you have at on-premise environment. So information protection is more about security, right? The traceability, the data classification that you do, and that's exactly where we have landed up with a service called Microsoft Purview. So information protection in Microsoft Purview helps you with all these 4 factors. The very first thing is that you know your data, right? You try to examine, you try to understand about what your data is exactly. Let's say you have a data set which is going to be huge, right? You have a data set which is like, you cannot keep a trace of what's the count that you have as such. And still the Microsoft Purview is going to scan the data, right? It tells you the value of data that you have. It tells you the percentage of aggregation that you have over the data. And from there on, you can make sense whether you need to pass the data towards a training, or you need to pass the data towards a production environment, or whatever the task that you want to do as such. You're going to protect your data as well. There are something called as a DLP, right? The data loss prevention that we do. We still have the data encryption that works across. And Microsoft Purview helps you a lot joining hands with other security services like Key Vault, right? We have Azure Key Vault. We do have you can go with a system assigned identity or a user managed identity, right? Where you can keep your environment to be secure. You also keep your data to be available on a storage account. You normally keep a data sets to be available over the Azure storage account, and from there on we can use SaaS, or we can use the encryption models that are available to keep your data to be more secure. So Purview joins hands with any security service, right? You speak about Defender, you speak about the Key Vault, or you still speak about the compute. Let's say you want to deploy your model towards a compute cluster that's running on a Kubernetes, right? Still you keep the environment to be secure there. You also go with the data loss prevention. So let's say, for example, you're going to share any kind of sensitive data, right? Think about the data set which has some credit card numbers, right? Or any financial transactions data that you have. You could still go ahead, you can keep the data to be secured and sensitive, by giving up, the secrets permission that we have in Azure Key Vault. So if you want to consume the service of Microsoft Purview, you have Azure Key Vault, right? You join hands, giving up, you want to get the data or you want to list the data, you want to do any kind of classifications over there, right? You set up the permissions. On top of that, you still go ahead, you can use something called as an RBAC. Have you heard about RBAC? Role-based access control, right? So there are like different rights that we have. Let's say I would invite Christian to be, a contributor, right? I need Lauren to be the owner of the service, right? So we can manage the architecture, we can manage the complete environment that you have deployed using the different RBAC inbuilt policies which are said to be available. On top of that, I could also invite, let's say I was speaking about the on-premise, right? You think about the hybrid cloud environment that you have. You could just go ahead, you can try implementing the hybrid setup by calling up the service principal, right? You can create a service principal, you could still go ahead, you can connect with the Active Directory, okay, which is said to be running at the on-premise environment, and keep, again, the role-based permissions to be added up for the same. You can always go, you can govern your data, you can automatically retain, you can say that you want to delete the data after complete, let's say, ETL operations that you're performing, right? And once when the task is completed, you want to get the data to be deleted, you could still do that. So it's gonna, governance is not just about the security, but it still extends the wings towards, the cost cutoff factors that we have. Think about what in case if you're running a Synapse, compute, or let me simply say, think about if you're running a huge compute virtual machine, which doesn't make sense for 6 hours or 8 hours, right? You think about the cost that gets involved there, okay? So this helps you a lot where you can delete, you can retain the data. You still have the concepts like when you go with the data lake storage, we have blobs of delete, right? Blobs of delete is that in case if you accidentally delete your data, you get a purge, you get a 90 days of retention time that you have where you can always go, you can try restoring the data as well, right? So that's like a huge support where we get with the information protection. And Purview helps a lot when you speak about knowing your data. You need to make sense, like when you call the data over the collections, okay, with Microsoft Purview, you get the data to be scanned first, right? You examine, you make sense about what's the data that you have. And if there's like any null values or if there's any data classifications which doesn't make sense, let's say I try typing like accounting, right, which is said to be a tab. And if I give a space on ACC space OUNTING, or I give a different spell, right, AKK, right, still the Microsoft Purview could make sense that this data belongs to the tag of accounting, right? So that brings more sense over, the sensitive informations and the trainable classifiers. So there are intents and there are like keywords which can help to classify the data, which can help to go ahead. It can identify the tags of what the data set tries to represent for you. And yes, we do have labels. We can always go, you can label the data where it can be used beyond to scan and then go ahead with the ETL operations, extract, transform and load the data that we have. Policies, we have been already speaking, you can go with the inbuilt policies which are said to be available, or you are always invited, you can even write some custom policies over the JSON and you can try implementing the same over the Purview too. We then have protecting the data. So protecting the data is not just about Microsoft Azure. You speak about the SharePoint or you speak about the Microsoft 365 environment. I'm sorry, I'm using Office, but then the new that we have, Microsoft 365, or you speak about the on-premise environments and not just about the Microsoft Cloud. It can be AWS or it can be GCP. You can still go ahead, you can keep your data to be protected, right? So again, the services is like, it's like an ocean. You think about Key Vault, you think about the security measures are said to be not just from the hands of Microsoft, but it's going to be your responsibility as well. You need to keep aligned with the rule-based permissions that you want to give, right? You need to make sure that there's a SaaS token that has been used. You need to make sure that there's an encryption that has been used, right? On top of these things, Microsoft also plays a major role on the role of security, right? They give you a inbuilt, okay, policies that are said to be available, and it's your responsibility again to try implementing the role-based access controls. So we can prevent the data loss using the Microsoft Purview. You can keep your data to be secure. You're going to store the data. The most that we use is to be the storage account, the data lake storage account before we call it the Microsoft Purview. So we keep the data to be secure, and we also enable, the data productivity. So data productivity is nothing but, see, you're not going to worry about the security factors over here, right? You just go ahead, you try to establish the pipelines you need to accomplish about the job that you want to do. It might be ETL, or you train the data, you want to call it towards your machine learning workloads, or anything that we have. So the complete data estate production is going to be done by Microsoft Purview, right? And here we go with the data lineage, the best practices. See, data lineage is nothing but you go examining, you go do a scanning about the complete data which is said to be available. Your data is said to be huge. Think about IoT workloads, or think about any sensitive workloads that works in runtime, right? You will be having more amount of data that gets ingressed for each and every second that we have. So here what happens is that the Microsoft Purview goes across, they use something called as a data classification, right? And you can explore with what type of content that you have in the data. You still go ahead, you have the data classification, which is going to have like a governance portal. You can categorize the things. Let's say you categorize the financial data separately, you categorize the name of the credit card holders separately, right? You want to do a masking, just same like what you have in a SQL. You still go ahead, you can try masking the data that we have over there. You can also go with the trace of Activity Explorer. Activity Explorer lets you to know what kind of scan is going on currently, okay, over your Microsoft Purview. You also have the sensitive info types, like you would be having data which is said to be a vast, right, which is of different types. So you can go, you can stick labels, and you can do a kind of, you keep the data to be hidden so that others would not be able to access it. We have a trainable classifiers which is said to be input. So one such example is what I was saying, that you give a typo over the name, like accountability, and it can get trained towards the key values of the data set on what it's said to be available as such. So here is a panel of how you can review the sensitive information. So once when you keep your data to be added over the Microsoft Purview, you get the answers of what sensitive data is out there, right? So they say like it has run a total of XYZ activities, right? And it gives you a count of these many files are created, and it has been copied to the clipboard, and the file has been printed. So they give you a complete activity status of what has happened with your Microsoft Purview. You go with a excuse me. You go with the Microsoft 365 portal, or you try integrating the Microsoft Purview with any kind of the services. We still have the web portal which is said to be available on preview. And when you go with the data collection, you do try some scanning to be done, right? End of the day, you're going to get the report like this. Okay, so it's like lets you to go with a more visibility and understanding the data. It also classifies the data with different sensitive informations that we have. You always can go, you can protect the information, right, which we have been speaking about. Data loss preventions, okay, you can use the classifications, you can go with the DLPs which can be implemented. That makes sense that the data is not going to be loose, okay, over the different kind of pipeline transactions that you carry. You do have a data lifecycle management. The data lifecycle management speaks about, the data that you try keeping over the blob storage, okay, the container that we have. And the same which I was speaking about, the blob soft delete that we have. In case if you try, you delete the data accidentally, you want to try restoring it, or you say that you're not going to use the data for a long period of time, you want to move it towards the different tiers like hot tier, cold tier, right? So those things can be accomplished. We can also go with the records management, like what kind of scans were done and what's the history of scans that was performed before as well. So let me go ahead. I will show you a quick tour over, the Microsoft Purview here. So the basic stuff you need to have, the Azure portal access. Okay, let me try signing in. See, I have a production resource group, but then I tried deploying it, a copy of it using Terraform. naming it as aMS Manila resource group, right? So you could see we to establish an end-to-end architecture, you will be using Microsoft Purview, but this Microsoft Purview will be having the integrations to be done with ADF, right? The Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory has inbuilt pipelines where they can call the data from the storage, they can do some kind of transformations, right? It's not just the storage, or it can be on-premise, anything. You have pipelines, it's gonna work with 3 keywords: ETL, right? Extract the data from the source that you have. It could be a data lake storage account that I could say, or it can be on-premise data or anything. It can then do a transformation, a schema conversion, or whatever you're looking for. And then it can load the data towards, let's say, Event Hub or HD Insights, whatever you speak about. So we have ADF, and to make your data to be more secure, we are not going to share the keywords, the connection strings, or no keys or nothing as such. We're going to use the Azure keyword here, and I have a compute running here. So we need the network interface card, network security group, and the public IP. I hope you could see this. We have a VM and a SQL virtual machine. So this is more about, a data warehouse which we have implemented, okay, which is set to be over the production. And we do have the Synapse, okay, which is running the SQL data warehouse. Now what I would do is, let me try creating Microsoft Purview. And let's make sense about the role-based permissions and other things which we have been speaking about. So I'll go with the Microsoft Purview here. Should try creating this. Yeah. So here you see the resource group. Let's try tagging it towards a resource group, and I'll try giving it a name here. I'll say aMS Purview. Let me check if that's available. Oh, Patrick, you're using that. aMS Purview is not available. Okay, let's go with it. Oh, that's there. Okay. So this is like, at the back end it works with the REST. Okay, so we are supposed to give some unique name over here, and we go with the data center location on which the Purview can be deployed. At top of this, we go ahead. You see, there's a pricing as well, right, to use this Purview. So they say, like, when you say 1 CU, the metrics is like 1 CU, one capacity unit that you have. It can go up to like 25 calls that it can do to examine the data, to scan the data, right, in the classifications or whatever, the operations that it can do. And the max of the metadata storage that it can hold is set to be up to 10 GB that we have. So the pricing, to explore more in detail, you could go with, you could go with azure.microsoft.com. You have a pricing calculator that's available, on which you can make sense about what's going to be the cost of Microsoft Purview. But still, let me put on a holder there. It's not going to be the exact costing. Let's say if your company is said to be an enterprise customer of Microsoft, if they have an enterprise agreement with Microsoft, then the costing is going to be completely different. You might get some cost cutoffs, or there might be some different, pricing plans that you people have been working around. So to deal with the costings, if you are said to be a startup, you have different programs like Microsoft for Startups, or you speak about the company that you're working for. If they're an enterprise partner of Microsoft, then they again have a business deal with them, right? I would say what you see on the Azure pricing calculator is just like, a marginal cost that you have. There are chances that you get a cost cutoff too. Well, there's going to be another managed resource group on which, a storage account will be created, which keeps all your logs, okay? And there might be an event hub as well that we can try creating. At top of this, there's going to be a configuration blade where I can add a configuration, see if you're creating an event hub, and if you want to call all your notifications from the Kafka cluster, then we can try going up here, we can connect the cluster. So now makes sense that Purview has a wide range of integrations that it can do, right? It can try moving up with any Microsoft 365 products that you speak about, or it can still go up, it can work with the data warehousing, right? Or Event Hub, HD Insight, whatever, okay? Any data practices that you want to do. We then have the tag, which is set to be for the billing, or the metadata reference that we have. And finally, we can try creating this Purview now. So let me see. The validation is nothing but at the back end it tries to do a validation, it generates the former name ARM template, right? The Azure Resource Manager template. And it checks if I have the permission to deploy these services. You also need to make sure that before you deploy this or before you get started with this, there is something called as resource providers. I will go for subscriptions. I can pick a subscription that you see here. Let me go with resource providers. And here you need to make sense if you have permission to spin up the purview. So this resource provider is supposed to be registered. And yes, of course, you also need storage account, you need even hub, okay, to work with these things. So you make sure that you have all these services to be registered on your subscription. All right, I will give a create to get this purview to be up. Okay, in the meantime, let me go with these permissions. See, there's something called as a role-based access control permissions, which I was speaking about, right? I'm sure that it's visible to you people. Do you want me to zoom a little? Okay, the white screen now. We have Azure administrator rights. So if you have an Azure admin rights, you can grant permission, right? So think about the same example which I was speaking about now. If Laurent is going to be a Azure admin, he can invite us, right? He can send the invite to any of the people who are set to be on the Azure Active Directory or the external tenants as well, where they can be invited. We can work with the Microsoft Purview there. So now the control over inviting people towards the purview is set to be with the Azure administrator. And on top of that, if the Azure admin adds somebody else, right? Let's say the other person, right, is going to be a global admin, then again the global admin gets the privileges to invite the other people too, right? And we have the data lake storage again. You can always go, you can upload the data all to the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 with the topmost privilege, which is set to be Azure administrator. But I would still say if you're a data lake contributor, right, if you have the permission with the data lake contributor, you are still able to, try uploading the data. But the only thing is that you will not be able to delete or you will not be able to do any kind of changes over the stories that you have. So that's like, I'm trying to list out all the top kind of permissions that we have here. If you have admin rights, you're good to go. You do any kind of ABC things over the storage that we have. We can then try creating a collection. There's a service called Collection Administrator. Collection is nothing but you come across with, a large number of data sets, right? And you try exploring about, you try invoking the collections, okay, towards Microsoft Purview workspace that we have. We can also register a source. So registering a source is that, see, there's like huge kind of source environments that can be supported by Microsoft Purview. You can call the data from the on-premise, or you can call the data from a storage account. You still go ahead, you try calling up the data from AWS environment or with a SQL database, anything. Now, if you have this permission called Data Source Administrator, you can try registering the source. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't want to use a marker. Well, see, I said three things: ETL, extract, transform, and load. Extracting the data is where you go with the collection, you go with the source. So your data is going to be called from a SQL database, or you try calling up your data from a storage account. Okay, it can be a data lake storage, or it can be a Cosmos DB, it can be a AWS account, anything that you have across. And we then have like scanning a source, right? Scanning is that you should have a data source admin rights to scan the data of what is said to be available, right? Scanning is that it tries scanning throughout the data that you have. If there's any like null values, or if there's like any data that doesn't make sense, then it tries to do a classification and get the data to be trained, right? So for that you use this permission. And yeah, so that's like, you can view the assets finally. That's simply you have a reader rights. You can try doing that. Now let's go to the purview that has been deployed. Now see here we have the access control. And if you could check this role assignments, or let's say roles, let me do here, and role assignment. You could find all, let's say data viewer, see purview role 1, it's depreciated, but you have like different roles which are set to be here. I would still say administrator, see app compliance automation administrator set to be there. To make sense more with the purview, you can go with, there are two kind of UIs that are set to be available with the purview. One is set to be the new governance portal that we have, and there's a classic portal that we have as well. Let's go with the classic, or you get a rich kind of experience when you go with the new portal that we have. So you have the toggle feature, right? You can always try toggling between the new and the classic experience that you used to get. Now, please make sense. I was speaking about the data catalog, right? I said that you will be trying to call all your data that you have from the source, right from the storage account and all those steps. To work with this, we go where the data policy. We can try implementing the policies which I was speaking about, right? We can try implementing the policies here. And we do have the management, where you can go with the management. You can try, you want to call the data estate insights, or you could still go ahead, you can try calling the connections, and the credentials can be managed as well here. Now let me go with the data catalog, and hope you could see this. I can say browse the assets, and here is set to be the connection. Now I'm the administrator, I hold an admin right? And I can go up here, I can create a storage account, I can call the data, I can put up the connections, whatever I have here. So let me say by source type, now you could make sense, right? It supports with blob storage, data lake storage, SQL database, and other storage supports here. Well, let's go with the storage account, but before that, let me try creating a storage account here. Or we could go with an existing storage. Give me a minute. Let's go with the resource groups. And I will pick a resource group which is set to be here. I hope you could see this. We have a storage, a data lake storage. We can try creating a container, right? I can go to the container here and I can try uploading the data. The other ways that I could go, let me try calling up the storage explorer. It's getting loaded. Good on. Any questions for me in the meantime? Let me know if you have any questions, please. Sleepy? No? You will not be able to go home, right? It's raining, I guess. So nowhere to go. Feel secure with the Microsoft. Patrick, do we have any questions from the webcast?
I think we didn't split correctly the demo. Anyways, no problem.
Okay, you can see here we have a data lake storage that's it to be here. And blob containers as well. So we can try creating a blob container here. I'll name it as raw data to be available. And within this raw data, we can try uploading, folders, the files that I have. So I just want you to make sense that I have a huge kind of data. Yes. You see here, I tried downloading some data which gives, the corona, the data set. Okay. Let's try uploading this. And we'll say upload them. So there we go with uploading the data. In the meantime, I would also like to show you, I have one kind of data set which I want you to explore that I have been speaking about. You see here, this is said to be the sample data set. So if I could open any of these, see, consider this is all like the data set that I can put it over the storage. And what you could make sense here is that check the compatibility that we have the address lane here. You say one person who is representing the door number is 188, and they say it's Queen's, right, the address that you have. But the other person tries adding a different, symbol. And then comes a person without a symbol, there's a typo, right? This is said to be the trainable data set that we have. Now what Microsoft Purview does is that when it goes to the scanning, or let me say the other way around, what in case if you're trying to call the same data set towards a machine learning workload? It's not going to make sense, right? It will not be able to identify what kind of data set you're trying to represent as such. Now, when Microsoft Purview scans this data set, they try giving you an accountability, saying that the classifications that we have over the address is said to be finger crossed. And they also work with heating up, right? They give you an exact classification of how the address should look like. Okay. So this is said to be like one kind of best example, and I have uploaded a few kind of those data sets over, the Corona that you have been seeing. Oops, where's that? Yeah. Okay, it's there uploaded. Now I could go, I would say refresh. You see the raw data that's said to be there, and within the raw data, we have, the data sets. See 2020, and we have all these raw data sets that are set to be there. Well, now we can browse the assets. I would say go with my data lake storage account, call my data source, right? Selecting the data set. Did I come up with a different one? Browse the assets. Let's go with storage account. ADLS, yeah. So here we go. We could call the raw data that we have. It's still getting uploaded. It's 6 FF ADLS. Okay, that's right. The raw data here. Okay, no worries, let's go to the data map. And when I click on the collections, I can say add a new collection. Let's say collection 1, okay? And here we can call the admins, right? You can try calling admins over here, but that's okay. Let's try creating the collection. And within the collection, we can call, the data that we have. So this is collection 1. And thereon, you can try adding up, edit, and you go with the role assignments. See, this is what we have been saying. We have collection admins. You do go ahead, you say data source admins to be added up. So I can say add, and I will add myself here. This is already added, right? Try and see, there are data curator permissions as well, so they can perform, they can create, read, update all. Okay, so this is going to be like one end of the permission that we have. We have data readers all. Okay, so with these things, we could go ahead. We can try running the data there. So I would say go for the data source. And we can see register this data, right? Calling it from, now hope you could make sense, we can call it from AWS, okay? We do have like relation database service that we can call from Amazon, or we can try calling it from the on-premise environment. Apart from this, extracting the data, we can still go ahead. You could find that we have monitoring. So this lets you know the data which gets run, the scan that it gets run as well. Okay, the total number of data which has been trained and it has been scanned across, so we can find it over there. You can always go ahead, you can click on add, which is said to be here. We can try, giving up this register, and we can say what action you need to perform as such. Let's say if you want to call the storage account, say blob storage, and you try calling up the data. So let's say continue, and here you can call the storage account which we have. Let me try refreshing this once. It's different. Let's go with data, data lake storage gently. Hope you could see this. We have the storage account. You could then say register, right? So the next process after doing all these things is that you can try running this, right? You can perform a scan where all the data that has nullified values, right? The data cleansing that you need to do gets trained there. So you have a monitoring and data estate as well. It works. The data estate is almost like an application insight kind of stuff. Have you heard about application insights? Yes. Okay. So this is where you would be having all kind of logs, right? You have assets, you have the logs. It gives you a traceability from where the data has been origin and what the data does, where the data gets transformed towards a pipeline, and what's the next kind of operation that it's going to perform as such. We then have the data policy. I have been speaking about the data policy before. Excuse me. The data policy is where we can try implementing policies like a service catalog policy kind of steps, right? If you want to integrate, Azure DevOps again with the Microsoft Purview, you need to come up with a data policy. You need to keep the policies added up here. So say, for example, I could say DevOps policy, and you need to add a new policy there. So you need to keep it registered. Remember, there's something called as a personal access token, right? That's available on Azure DevOps. I hope you should have been seeing when Christian was sharing about Azure DevOps. There's something called as a PAT, okay, the personal access token. You need to generate a token and you keep trying adding up the policies over here. Well, then you have the management. The management is where you get all kind of information, the authoring, the data factory that you can get connected with, the data share that you do. You still have the connections and the credentials, right? You can manage. It's more like the properties that you're gonna come up with. Okay, so that's said to be a quick tour on the purview. And any questions for me? Any questions for me? I have some couple of minutes to give you a question. Patrick, it's getting recorded.
No, the demo, because it stay on the PowerPoint.
Right.
Sorry for that.
That's okay. Well, all right. I hope you're feeling good then. Right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be here around. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Patrick, you can stop sharing.
Yeah.
I would love to connect with you over there at Germany. We will speak more about the AI.
That is when the magic comes through, when you know you have a lot of solutions, and when you integrate all the solutions, then
We need to keep it ready.
yes.
What's the next stop, Patrick?
Sorry.
What's the next stop?
Next stop, Paris.
Aachen.
Aachen, before.
And next year Leipzig. So you have to come to
Really?
Germany.
Yeah. So,
Oh, we have
Yeah.
your help on
keep this long. I'll try to keep it. Level 100 session, just at the very basics. I'll be talking about what is Microsoft 365 Defender, what are the different products under this service, and how you can use it. So if you're not aware of this product, maybe this session will give you an insight so that you can go and play around after my session. Yeah. As always, thanks to our sponsors. So Rencore, who's our diamond sponsor, and Microsoft, who's our organizing partner, and we also have our silver partner, Array. So without sponsors, an event is not really possible, because I do organize a lot of events back in India. So without sponsors, it's quite hard. So thanks a lot once again for this. Yeah. So that's about myself. So my name is Vignesh Ganeshan. I go by Vignesh. I'm a Microsoft MVP for M365 apps and services, and also few years back on SharePoint. I come from a SharePoint background. Of course, anybody who's in Microsoft 365, you either come from SharePoint or Exchange or Link. That's how we got into this area, right? So I come from a SharePoint background, and I've done a lot of Microsoft certifications, and I'm also the founder and chief organizer of the Microsoft 365 Power Platform and Cloud Security India user group. We have about 3,000 members, no, about 4,000 members there, and I run that group. And we also do organize a lot of events from this group. We have the India Cloud Security Summit, Microsoft Purview Days, and Microsoft Viva Days, right? So you can just Google it, and you can be, it's a free event, it's a free virtual event, that's the best part, so you can just join wherever you are from. All right, so what is this?
Swiss Army knife.
Microsoft Defender.
So do you know a history about my Swiss Army knife? Do you know who named this as Swiss Army knife and what the product was originally called?
What I can tell you is that, because I'm Swiss, right? So we actually get one of those, because in Switzerland the army is compulsory. But there is one detail though, the one we get in the army doesn't have the wine opener. So the first thing that all the soldiers do in Switzerland is they change it with the one which has the wine opener. Because when you go to the army, you drink a lot, right?
I will drink a lot either ways, but yeah. All right, so this is a Swiss Army knife, right? So it's a name. If you read about it, right? So it originally has as a very German name. Since the Americans back then they couldn't pronounce it, they came up with a name called as Swiss Army knife. But it has a very original name which I can't. Maybe you can help me with that. It has a very typical French or something like that.
Taschenmesser.
Yeah, yeah. So then they couldn't pronounce it, and then they called it as the Swiss Army knife, right? But whatever, that's the history of this product. If you look at this particular tool, right, it has multiple stuff into it, right? As he said, you could use it as a wine opener, it has a knife, and there are a lot of other things. Just one single stuff, one single tool which can serve multiple purposes, right? Now that's what your Microsoft 365 Defender can also do. It's just one single product which can do a lot, right? So we are going to understand what is that lot and how it can help you to secure your services. Yeah. So let's move on. So today I have a very crisp agenda. So I'll talk about what is an XDR and why should you care. So anybody here who understands what is an XDR? When I say XDR, any idea about what is an XDR? No? That's fine. We'll also be talking about, of course, what is Microsoft's XDR. Now XDR is an industry standard, right? It's an industry name. Every company has their own XDR. We call it as extended detection and response. When I say extended detection, it helps you to detect a threat, and not just detecting it, also is going to help you to respond to that threat. Because in today's cloud world, of course, there's just a lot happening. It's not possible, humanly possible, for somebody to sit and respond to all the threats, right? That's going to be thousands and thousands of threats coming on. So what if the tool is smart enough to even respond to those threats? So that's what we are going to talk about. We'll also be talking, so the Microsoft's XDR is called as Microsoft Defender, I'm sorry. So we'll be giving a high-level overview of what is Microsoft Defender. I'll also be showing some use cases so that you can understand how to use this product. Then the million-dollar question. So how many of you have a PhD here in licensing? Like you guys all understand Microsoft licensing? You do. Seriously, you do. Don't tell me. There is no one single person in this world who understands Microsoft licensing, right? It's humanly not possible. That's how complicated it is, right? So don't even raise your hand, right? And you can also, I'll also be comparing this with other third-party products in the market. I mean, not that I'm here to sell any Microsoft, I'm not a Microsoft sales guy here, but just so that you can understand like how this product is compared with other third-party products in the market, right? So that's the agenda. Let's get started. So when I say an XDR, right, it's nothing but it's a SaaS security solution. It's called as Extended Detection and Response. That unifies multiple security technologies into a single platform, right? And if you look at this diagram, right, few years back, let's say some 6-7 years back, at least 5 years back, let's say, this is very new in the market. This was not even there like 5 years or 6 years back. If you're somebody, how many of you here are from IT pro background? Not developers, let's say managing your email, managing endpoints, managing servers, managing infrastructure. Is there anybody from that background here? I see one. Anybody else? All right. So if you're managing email, right, you have an email security gateway. All your mails go through it. So any alerts or any malicious stuff which is coming from the email, you'll get an alert for it. That can only take care of that. That's all. Like your Proofpoint, for that matter, right? And then you have Mimecast. A lot of products are there. Then if you look at your endpoint, your devices, you have McAfee, you have CrowdStrike, you have Symantec. That's meant only to take care of your endpoints, right? And then you look at your network security, like your Cisco. There are so many products in this space also. And then you have your cloud workload security, which is called as a CASB solution. Any understanding about what is a CASB, a Cloud Access Security Broker? This is mainly to secure all your SaaS apps. Like Microsoft 365 is a SaaS app. There are so many SaaS apps that you would use in your company, like Workday is there, right? There are so many apps that you would use. It's mainly to, so the cloud workload security to secure that. The point that I'm trying to make here is, for every single product that is, in the past, you would have for endpoint, there is CrowdStrike, as I said. For email, there is a separate product, right? These are all separate individual solutions for a specific purpose. But with XDR, everything will come under one single solution. You don't need to purchase separate products for separate purposes, right? When I say Microsoft Defender, and inside this you'll get everything so that you don't need to spend your money in spending multiple products and purchasing multiple products, right? So we'll see how. Now this is sort of a bird's eye view of how this product looks like. So Microsoft Defender is nothing but a combination of Microsoft 365 Defender and Azure Defender, right? Now when I say Azure Defender, this product now is called as Microsoft Defender for Cloud. We all know how many name changes Microsoft makes. You know, for the life of me, I can't even remember. Now it is called as Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I don't know 2 months from now what they will call it, but it's what it is, right? So when I say this, it's not called as Azure Defender anymore. Now it is called as Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So it is mainly meant to take care of your infrastructure, your cloud workloads, your PaaS, your virtual machines, whatever you have in Azure. On the other hand, then you also have as Microsoft 365 Defender. It's mainly to take care of all your data, like your emails, your identities, your SharePoint data, your OneDrive data, the Teams chat, whatever you want to bring in there. So the way you need to look at this product is Microsoft 365 Defender is more user focused, all the stuff that you put in Microsoft 365. Your Azure Defender is more of infrastructure focused. And this is just not for Microsoft platform solutions alone. It can also take care of your AWS, Google Cloud also. On the other side, you can also extend this to other platforms also. Now, as I said, the Azure Defender, it's meant to take care of all your Azure workloads, whatever you have in Azure, VMs, resource groups, pass, keys, whatever you have, this is meant to take care of it. And then the Microsoft 365 Defender, right? To take care of your endpoints, to take care of your emails and docs, to take care of your apps and cloud apps, and also to take care of your identities. Now, in Microsoft 365 Defender, we have 4. That's the high-level service. When I say Microsoft 365 Defender, it's a service. Underneath that, we have 4 products, right? That's where the XDR picture comes into picture. Because in the past, for every single thing, you would be purchasing a standalone product. But here in the Microsoft 365 Defender service, you have 4 products. The first one is Defender for Endpoint, to take care of all your endpoints, like your antivirus, like let's say McAfee, CrowdStrike, Symantec, they are antivirus. And this is just not antivirus, I'm just giving an example, right? It's a complete EDR, endpoint detection and response. Then for emails and docs, we have Microsoft Defender for Office 365, which is your email gateway, anything to secure in your SharePoint and OneDrive and stuff. Then for apps and clouds, we have the Microsoft Cloud App Security, which is now called as Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. That's your CASB. And then you have Microsoft Defender for Identity, that is to secure your identities. The scope for today's session will be this product. As I said, you have the Azure Defender, you have the Microsoft 365 Defender. This both comes together and it forms the Microsoft Defender. But our focus will be only this product for this session, this service for this session. Yeah. Now, if you're interested in some name changes, this is the reason name changes. I don't know whether this is the 4th or 5th name change which Microsoft is giving, but it is what it is at this point. And I said 2 months from now, this will be something else, right? So if you're interested, you can take a snapshot of this, but then this is as of today. Maybe later this might change. All right, so this is sort of a high-level view. So today what we want to do is, I want to present to you a use case, right? Let's look at a use case, so that with that use case, I'll try to bring a demo so that you understand how to use this product in a real-time environment, right? So, as I said, we've got the Defender for Identity, we got the Defender for Endpoint, we got the Defender for Cloud Apps, and we got the Defender for Office 365. And this is going to give you what? Prevent and detect. Because most of the security in the products, they can help you to prevent and detect. That's the max it can do, right? But with XDR, you can also investigate and respond. Because in today's cloud world, it's not humanly possible for you to sit and respond to everything. That's not possible, right? So what if the tool itself can respond to certain things, right? If you can configure, or if the tool itself has AI and ML and it can respond to certain threats. So that's what we are going to see. So with that, let me present the use case. So the use case which I have is, let's imagine there is a company called as Vignesh Ganeshan Consulting Services, right? I hope someday I'll have my company, but I keep saying this to myself for years. I haven't done anything about it, but it's what it is, right? And they're using Microsoft 365 for collaboration. So they have shifted to hybrid work. Let's say we all shifted to hybrid work mostly after COVID, right? And this is the case study that they have. And these are some challenges which this organization is facing, right? The very first challenge is users often receive a lot of spam emails, a lot of spoof, a lot of malware. Typically every day we keep getting a lot of spam emails and all in our inbox, right? The second problem they are having is they do not have any tools or resources to secure their identities, right? The user, when I say identities, it is just not the Azure AD identities. I'm also talking about the on-prem, your Active Directory identities also. And then since they have shifted to hybrid work model, right? Because now users are connecting from your, they're not coming to your office and connecting from the corporate network, they're connecting from the home, right? So they also want a methodology to access, they want to secure their endpoints. Endpoints could be laptops, mobile devices, anything that access corporate resources. And finally, their IT team would like to control data leakage from SaaS apps, right? You see a word here called as shadow IT. So what do you mean by shadow IT? Anybody here? When I say shadow IT, any understanding of what I mean by shadow IT? Very simple. So today in your organization, I'm pretty sure nobody approved Viber or WhatsApp or Telegram as an approved SaaS app. For sending email, it's your Outlook, or you can use your Teams. But we don't do that most of the time. Sometimes we send corporate information on WhatsApp, some attachments, right? Because it's just convenient for us, we happen to do that, but that's not the right way. You can't do that, right? So these kind of usage of unapproved apps is what we call as shadow IT, meaning using apps which is not approved from your IT team, just because it's so convenient for you to use, right? And then this organization has purchased the Microsoft 365 Defender. Now let's see how they're able to take care of all their problems using this. So what I'll do is for every single product, I'll try to map it to this use case so that you know which product I should be using for which use case, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So the first challenge is users often receive a lot of spam emails, spoofing emails, and malware attached emails, which leads to data theft. So which means there is a problem with their email, right? So let's see what is the product that they can use for that. So the product for that is your Microsoft Defender for Office 365, right? So the way this product works is this is sort of a high-level architecture. We all have the EOP, which is the Exchange Online Protection. Any idea about what is the EOP, an Exchange Online Protection? By default, when you are purchasing Office 365, you get email, right? By default, you will have an email gateway. All your emails will be hitting that email gateway where the scanning happens, and only then it will come to your inbox. By default, you have EOP in any subscription you purchase, you get EOP. And then on top of that, you have the Defender for Office 365 Plan 1 or Plan 2. With Plan 1, you get to protect and detect, and with Plan 2, you can do investigation and respond. This is how we need to look at the license, right? Plan 1, Plan 2. Plan 1, protect and detect. Plan 2, investigate and respond, right? So for anything to do with your emails, SharePoint, and OneDrive data, the product for that is Defender for Office 365. Now a quick demo on the portal. I will just, okay. So here we are. So I'm on my Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I'll go to the Security Admin Center. Let it load. So this is the Security Admin Center. Now just a quick tour on the home page, right? So as I said, this is this one single home page where you can see everything. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to secure your email, your endpoints, your identities, or everything. In this home page, you can get a complete overview of the security posture of your company, of your tenant, right? It talks about everything. It talks about the secure score. It talks about how many devices are compliant, which is your Defender for Endpoint stuff. It talks about how many users are at risk. It talks about how many devices have an active malware, right? And there is a lot of information. It also gives all the incidents and alerts. Now this is a demo environment, which is why it is a lot of this information is empty. But in a real production environment, you will be seeing a lot of, and these are all customizable cards. If you have some IoT devices, it will also show the information for the IoT also. Now for Defender for Office 365, which is our email security, I come here, you see an option here called as email and collaboration, right? I go to policies and rules, and this is where I can configure pretty much everything for my email security. You have an option here called as threat policies. So underneath threat policies, the way you want to do this is, if you're very new to this product, you don't know how to use it, it's the first time you're trying it, you have an option called as preset security policies, which means these are a templated policy. I can just come here and click on this, and these are like default standards coming from Microsoft. I can just choose a built-in protection or a standard protection, and it will just give it about 24 hours. It will automatically set up everything. This is like the default level if you're new to this product, right? But if you don't want to do that, you want to configure your own custom policies, then there are a lot of policies. You have to configure everything which says anti-phishing, anti-spam, anti-malware, safe attachments, and safe links, right? So for instance, if I want to configure a phishing policy, I can just come here, anti-phishing, and I can just try to click on create. I can click on, say, test. It's quick. Next. And then you can choose what users, what groups needs to be involved, and what domains also. For the sake of this demo, I just choose the demo tenant here, my domain, and I'll click on, and you can also exclude. If you're trying to do a POC, then you can say whom to include and whom to exclude. I'll click on next. Then you can set the phishing threshold limit, whether it should be aggressive or very aggressive, whatever you want, and then you can enable users to protect. These are all pretty standard. So based upon, you can just keep checking on whatever makes sense to you. And then it's quite easy. It's not like other tools in the market which makes it very complicated. So click on next. and then you can take an action. Like say for instance, when every time a mail is detected as spam, what should be the thing? Should it be quarantined or should it be forwarded to something else? So you can choose all those things also. If the message is detected as spoof and demarc policy said, should I quarantine this message, right? And the same way, if the message is detected as spoof, should I quarantine or what should I do with this? So all these things can be configured here. Click on next, just read through this policy and click on submit, right? So similar way, you can go ahead and configure all the other policies also. I'm just showing anti-phishing. You can configure anti-spam, anti-malware, safe attachments and safe links also. With safe attachments, you can configure what should happen when an email comes to you with an attachment, right? I'm sending you an email, it has an attachment on it, right? What should be the state of that? If there is a malware, what do I want to do with that? Should it be like this? For instance, if I'm trying to create a safe attachment policy, test. Next. Same way, I can just choose who do I want to publish this to. I'm going to say to all the users in my domain. You see this? So there are multiple options here. So whenever there is an attachment, attachments will not be scanned by safe attachments. I don't want that option. Monitor, deliver this message if malware is detected and track scanning results. So based on my business need, the industry standard is keep it to dynamic delivery. What it will do is it will send you the mail body. You will just get the email body. The attachment will get scanned separately and then you'll get the attachment. There will be a malware scan. I'll just show you a quick demo of how that looks like. And you can just say next and click on submit. Now for this quick thing, let me show you a small demo of what it looks like. So I have a user in my tenant by the name Adel Benz, as you can see here. Let me try to send a test email with an attachment. I'm going to send it to myself. Test. I send an attachment. Like data migration proposal. I'll call this as test proposal. So this is an attachment. Now as per the policy, it should scan this attachment. I should not be getting this attachment quickly. It should scan and only then it has to send it. I'll click on send. Just going to give it a label. I'll click on this. Now let's see what happens here. I'll wait for this mail to come through. I send it to this user. Now this test proposal came in, but as you see, it's just not the attachment yet. It's just scanning it. You see safe attachment scan in progress, right? And only then it's giving me the attachment. First a scan happens, it will be so quick you won't even notice it. But a scan happens and only then it attaches that email. So that is the thing of safe attachment, right? So all these kind of things you can configure in your Defender for Office 365. So this is mainly for your email, your SharePoint and OneDrive data. And in terms of the licensing, as I said, this has a Plan 1 and Plan 2 license. Your Plan 1 will mainly do prevent and detect. Your Plan 2 will do everything which Plan 1 does and also all the investigate and response stuff. But this is a very high level licensing. So based on your need, if you want only Plan 1, then fine. If you want to go for Plan 2, your E3, or if you're a enterprise customer, your Microsoft 365 E3 will give you Plan 1. And your Plan 2 comes with your E5. Right? So based on your need, you would go for the right plan. Now the next product which I want to present is the challenge 2 is no tools or resources to protect user identities and reduce the attack surface. This is more to protect the identities. Like how do I protect the identity? For this the product is Microsoft Defender for Identity. Now this is a product, this is not a native Microsoft product. Microsoft purchased an Israeli company by the name Orato, like in 2014 or 15. Then they integrated it. These are all Israeli companies because Israel, we know they are known for building all the security products in the market. Most of the Microsoft security products are acquired from Israel. They purchase it, then they integrate it with their ecosystem, and then they give it a different name. So this product also was a company by the name Orato. In 2014 or 15, they purchased that company, and then they integrated this. And today it's called as Microsoft Defender for Identity. It was called as Azure ATP before, and a lot of other names in the past. So the way this product will be done is, you would be installing sensors in your domain controller. I'll show you where you can find those sensors. And once those sensors are installed, they'll start communicating to the portal, the Defender. So anytime there is a brute force attack or any kind of attack which is happening to your domain controller, it will automatically send an alert. And also anytime there is a problem with your Azure AD identities, let's say just now I logged in from Manila. Within 1 hour I'm trying to log in from the US. It's not possible. How can I be in the US within 1 hour, right? So those kind of anomaly activities, it will just try to detect, and it will tell that this is not possible, so it won't allow this session. It will say, give me your MFA, or please reset your password, because I see that you're not the right person. You're doing something wrong, because just 1 hour before you are in Manila, and now you're trying to log in from the US, right? Maybe you just connected to a VPN, but it still wants to check and make sure that you're the right person. So these kind of stuff can be done using your Defender for Identity. As the name says, this is to secure your identities. Yeah, keep that in mind. And quickly, a quick small portal demo of this. For this, I'm going to my Microsoft Security Center again. And let me go to the settings here. And you see something called as identities, right? I click on identities. And there are a lot of options here, but just for the sake of this session, you see an option called as sensors, right? I'll click on add a sensor. It will give me the package. I need to download this setup file, and also it will give me the key. I need to install this setup file in my domain controller, in my Active Directory domain controller. Now here is the VM where I did this. If I go to my Active Directory server here, you will see this Azure ATP sensor. I downloaded this file and I installed this, right? The moment I do this, of course, you need to configure your ports, your firewall, so that it can communicate, or else it won't communicate. You need to make sure that all that is done. So anytime any attack is happening to my Active Directory, it will start sending alerts, so that I can monitor it directly from all your event logs, your sys logs, everything will start coming down. Okay? You can also install this sensor in your ADFS servers. I think now a lot of organizations people are no more using ADFS, but still if you have ADFS, you can do this. Even in your Active Directory certification server, if you still have it, even in that also you can install it. So this is mainly to secure your identities. Keep that in mind. Alright, now in terms of the licensing for this product, there is no concept of plan 1 or plan 2 here. This is still new because I don't see a lot of organizations using this product yet. But there is no concept of plan 1 or plan 2. But if at all you have any of these licenses, you already have Defender for Identity. It's just that you need to start using it. A lot of companies have this SKU, but they just don't know that Defender for Identity exists, and they simply don't use it, right? So if you have any of these licenses, you already have Defender for Identity. Alright, now for the third challenge is IT team would like to secure the endpoints that access corporate resources. Now this is how you would secure your endpoints, your laptops, your mobile devices, anything that is using your corporate resources, right? So how do you secure all that? For that, the product that I want to present is Defender for Endpoint. So just keep in mind, Defender for Office 365 is for your email, your SharePoint, OneDrive data. Defender for Identity is for your identity, your Active Directory identities, your Azure AD identity also. Defender for Endpoint is all for your endpoints, right? And this is a very high level view of what it can do. Like your core vulnerability management, any vulnerability in your devices, like missing patches, software patches, missing any updates, it can detect everything. Attack surface detection, next gen protection. Maybe a threat just happened yesterday. It's a new, because as there are new, let's say, as organizations, they start developing new updates against new threats, right? The threats are also newly emerging, right? So all for that next generation detection also it's possible. EDR, extended detection and response, and a lot of other things is what it can do. Okay. For this, I'll just show you a quick portal overview for the Defender for Endpoint. So once again, for this, I will go to the settings option here. You see something called as endpoints. Let it come up. Still refreshing. Yeah, so here we are. So this is the place where you would configure all your Defender for Endpoint settings. Same manner here you would come down here and you see an option here called as device onboarding. which means you need to onboard the devices in your corporate environment to Defender for Endpoint, so that the Defender for Endpoint can start managing your devices. Like, does everybody understand Intune, Microsoft Intune? Yes. And in the past we had SCCM is still there, but that's how you would manage your devices, pushing patches, pushing policies, pushing group policies. Anything that you do was with SCCM before, right? Even now SCCM is being used, it's a different name altogether. Now Intune is more of the cloud version of it, how you can manage your devices, your mobile devices and everything, right? Now your Defender for Endpoint is where the security layer comes into picture. Intune is more of managing your devices where you can configure policies. A lot of security controls, your antivirus, USB blocking, a lot of things comes with your Defender for Endpoint so that you can give it a security layer, right? Now you can come here and you can, how to onboard a devices, you can choose the operating system, whether it is Windows 10 or 11, and then you can choose how to onboard your device. If you want to do it by using a local script, just choose this and then it will give you the script. You can just run that script, your devices will start getting onboarded to that. Or if you already have Intune, you can just come here, you can choose the operating system, and then you have an option here which says mobile device management or Microsoft Intune. You can just choose this, and then you can configure it accordingly. Now for you to configure the endpoint, the EDR stuff, I will go to the main admin center again. You see an option called as Endpoint Manager. I click on Endpoint Manager. I need to configure a policy for that. And then you see an option called as Endpoint Security. Right, so here I am, and then you see an option called as Endpoint Detection and Response. Now this is a policy that I need to configure. Right. I'll click on Create a Policy. It asks me to select the platform. I will say Windows 10, 11, right? I select a profile, Extended Detection and Response, Create. Name, I'll call this as Test. Description, this, next. Auto from connector, or you can also choose on, I'm going to go on, based on your business scenario, sample sharing all. Telemetry reporting frequency, this is anyway deprecated, I'm not going to bother with this. Scope tags, if you are using tags in your environment, you can do that, I don't have it. Assignment, now where do you want to assign this policy? To all the devices, or you want to choose only a policy or to a specific group, you can do that. I'll click on groups. I created a group by the name Intune Managed Devices. So every device which is managed by Intune will be a part of this group, and I'm assigning this policy to this group, right? So just assign this policy, wait for about few hours. In the cloud world, everything is 24 hours, just wait for 24 hours, and then your device will start getting managed by the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Now I already created this policy, which is why I'm not going to click on next. But for you to see this, this is the policy which I just created as for this. MDE onboarding, and then you can clearly see that it has onboarded one device here, right? Now the moment it has onboarded this device, this devices will start reporting to my EDR, right? So for that I can just go to, now I can see the status of my devices here. Let me go to the security center and I'll start showing you this. Once again, the security admin center. It will start capturing everything from my devices, right? The vulnerabilities, any issues with that, who's trying to log in, from that they logged in, everything. And if you see here, it says 2 devices at risk. Click on view devices. Now this is where it is showing the status of my devices in my environment. If I click on this particular device, it will show me everything about this. Yeah. So what are the different? It says the risk level is medium. It will give me the software inventory, and if there is any problem with this device, I can go ahead and I can run an antivirus scan. Or if somebody has done something with my device, I can just click on isolate the device, which means it will take the device out of the network. So there are a lot of things which I can just remotely do using Defender for Endpoint. This is how you would use this product. Just a quick overview on how you would use Defender for Endpoint in your environment. Right? And in terms of licensing, this also has a plan 1 and plan 2. Plan 1 again, it is one more of protect and detect. Your plan 2 is more of investigate and response. So your plan 1, this is all you would get. With your plan 2, everything that is there in plan 1, plus a lot of these capabilities also. Now recently Microsoft also introduced vulnerability management as a separate add-on. It is part of your plan 2 also. When I say vulnerability management, this is what I mean. About all the vulnerables in your devices, right? Like software vulnerables, like missing patches. It says these are all the things which are going on with my device. It says these are all the top vulnerable softwares which is running in my computer. VLC media player, Windows 11 off. It says it is missing patches, browser extensions. These are all the trials, hardware, so everything. I will get a complete view of everything that is running, that my users are doing there, right? And that is missing patches, everything will start responding. It will also give me remediations and recommendations also. What sort of recommendations I should be taking. Rather than me trying to figure out, it will show me all these things. Which is really handy, which is good. Okay. So let's move on. Now the last scenario that we have is IT team would like to control data leakage from all the approved SaaS apps and stop shadow IT. The last thing which I said, wherein you are trying to use, maybe let me give you a scenario. If there are some sensitive files in your environment, right? A highly sensitive file, maybe the previous session was more around your data sensitivity, how you can use labels and classify the documents in your SharePoint or OneDrive or whatever, right? Now if there is a highly confidential file, and if users are trying to download that, and if you want to prevent that, let's say it's a very highly confidential document, users can view it, but they should not be able to download it. So those kind of things, so that there is no data leakage happening, right? So those kind of things can be configured using the Defender for Cloud Apps. Now this is what your Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps can do. It is more around SaaS security. It's going to help you to take care of your SaaS security posture management. Of course, everything to do with how the overall security posture for your SaaS is looking like. Information protection, continuous threat protection on the go, like even in real time it will be doing it, and app-to-app protection. Like more of, anybody here is a developer here, like work on develop. Do you understand API permissions? From one app, we'll be giving an API permission, right? This app will say, I need to have complete read-write level access to all the users' emails, to all the users' SharePoint data, something like that, right? Which is not good. You should not be giving read or write access to everybody's email, right? But sometimes we do, maybe for POC we do, but we just forget to take it back. It quite happens, right? So those kind of things can be captured using this. I'll show you how. Now a quick demo on the Defender for Cloud Apps portal also. For that you have an option called as Cloud Apps. What this product will do is it will perform a complete discovery of all the cloud apps that are being used by your users in the corporate environment. The way it does this is it looks at the network logs. So it is just not the endpoint logs, because endpoint logs, of course, it's maybe an agent is required today, you have agents, but this captures the network logs and it will look at all the different apps that your users are using, right? Like Discover apps, and then it can also create an app catalog. You can create an app catalog saying that these are the only approved apps, these are the unapproved apps. So anytime an unapproved app is there, you can just simply block it, saying that this app is not allowed in your workstation. Like usage of WhatsApp app. Like today you can see me using WhatsApp here, right? I have a WhatsApp app running in my corporate workstation. And if you want to block this, you can simply do it using this, saying that no, you can't use WhatsApp, you can't share data using or something. All these things can be configured using this, right? And then you have OAuth apps. This OAuth is what has been removed to app governance, but OAuth is what we just spoke about, having those API permissions, right? And this all can be configured. You can check all this. Let me just refresh this page. I'm constantly having trouble with this. I'll try to show this page once again. App governance. As the name itself says, it's more of app-to-app governance. Hope it loads. Yeah, if you see this, Azure AD, it shows all the Graph API access here. So this way you can see, let it load. You see this Graph Explorer, Graph API access, delegated, yes. So this way, all this, it gives you a complete snapshot of all these things, alerts, overview, so everything can be, the point that I'm trying to make is this will give you a complete high level deep understanding of the security posture of all the SaaS apps in your company. Something which people are allowed to use, something which they are not allowed to use but they're still using it, and if you want to block it, you can block them also, right? And then you also get to configure a lot of policies here. Like your conditional access policies, you also have policies here. Like you have policies for threat detection, information protection, conditional access. Now for conditional access, I'll quickly show you a policy which I just configured. Now for this policy, what I'm saying is block download based on real-time inspection. Now what I'm saying here is, anytime there is a file which is kept in SharePoint or Teams or OneDrive, right? And if that file has a highly sensitive label, like a confidential label, user should not be able to download that if they are trying to download it from an unmanaged workstation, meaning from a non-corporate workstation. If you look at this policy, when the app is Microsoft 365, and I'm just putting it to this particular user, and the device is, when the device is not Intune compliant or hybrid Azure AD joint, when I say does not equal to, right? And if the file has a sensitivity label which is equal to confidential, I want this activity to be blocked, right? Because I don't want this happening. For that, quickly what I'm trying to show is, I'm logged in as a user here, and I'm on Teams. In Teams, I have this file which has a high sensitivity label. I'll just quickly open this and show you. Yeah, if I see this file, see this, it has a confidential sensitivity label. So as per the policy, if you are trying to download this file, you should simply block it. When you are trying to download it from a unmanaged, from your non-corporate workstation, I'll come here, I'll click on download. It will simply block me, saying that no, as per the policy you can't do it. So these kind of policies can be, this is something which a lot of your organizations will be needing. You can configure this using a Defender for Cloud Apps. So here in terms of licensing, they have three such categories. One is your Defender for Cloud Apps, which is just not for, it takes care of all the, just not for Microsoft 365 apps, but also third-party apps. Then you have your Office 365 Cloud App Security, which is a subset of the first one, which is specifically meant only for Office 365. And then you also have the App Discovery component, which I just showed you. So finally, a comparison with other third-party products. Now, overall, whatever I showed you, all these 4 products, they belong only to the Microsoft 365 Defender service, which means you just purchase that, you would get all the products underneath it, right? You don't need to purchase standalone products for everything. Now, if I'm trying to compare this with the market, with other third-party products, right? So, and what are some costs that I can save? If I'm using Microsoft Defender for Office 365, these are all the products which can be removed from my company. If I'm using this, the proof points, whatever you're using for your email security or whatever it is. So if you're using any of this, your Defender for Office 365 can already do that. You don't need to spend money in these third-party products, right? And then your Defender for Endpoint, of course, your Symantec of the world or McAfee or CrowdStrike or whatever. This product can replace all these other products also. So if you're using any of this, you already have the license, so you can just take out those costs. And finally, this is once again the same Defender for Endpoint, which offers the EDR capability. So in your organization, if you're using any of these third-party products, you can just talk to your boss or whomever is it, and you can just get rid of those already. And these are the other security products also. Today you might be using something for MFA, something for conditional access, something for CASB. Just bear in mind that your Microsoft 365 Defender already has this. All these products can be replaced. But while you're spending money, you can just get rid of it and use the Microsoft product. Yeah. So with that, thanks a lot, folks. Thank you so much for being patient till the end. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you. Want to connect with me? This is my LinkedIn, so you can just reach out later. welcome.